Boom. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Rockstar. You know, if you are not seeing progress in your journey, then chances are you're just not failing fast enough. You see, just like spring follows winter, failure or success follows failure. Try that thought on for size. Welcome to episode 80 of Hey Rockstar. Let's get this show started.
And Miguel, do the thing, yo.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Hey Rockstar, welcome. This is a show devoted to bringing value to those interested in starting a side hustle or side business. Whether you're looking to be dual vocational, full-time, part-time, or sometime, I bet our stories will entertain you, encourage you, and empower you to become the rock star of your business and industry.
You okay?
Yeah. Oh. I'm okay. Don't worry. It's part of the game. The net was loose. Okay. Ready? Get to work. They got me. That's a good hit. You hear me? That net got loose. I'm all right. I'll back away from it. That's a shot. See it?
Awesome. And that was straight off of his Instagram. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Hey Rockstar. It's been a minute, but I'm glad and I'm excited for the show we're having today. Right now, I just want to say welcome to everyone who's joining us on Instagram. Actually, we have those on Instagram joining us through Facebook, through YouTube, and now through LinkedIn. Here are the rules, basically. If you want to comment, if you want to ask questions, if we have time during the show, if your comments or questions are relevant to our discussion, we will highlight it. If not, we'll try to catch them all at the end of the show. I'm not going to take too much more time because we got a good show. I'm excited for this one. We're rebranding Hey Rockstar, where we're focused more on business owners or part-time business owners, part-time hustles, people who want to start their own thing, either whether you want to be a full-time, part-time, or sometime. You will find entertainment, you will find encouragement, and you will find empowerment to go and become the rock star of your business and hustle. Speaking of, today we have a very special guest. I'll call him, well, he is known as Coach Sanchez. I'm going to refer to you as Joe, if that's okay, because I've known you my whole life as Joe. So I might say Coach Joe or something. Starting off the bat, let's go and highlight Mr. Marky B. He is a fellow entrepreneur. He owns his own business up in Dallas. I'm going to get him to come. He was a guest in Hey Rockstar not too long ago. We want to bring you back, Mark, now that we are focusing on bringing value to potential business owners, side hustles, because let's just, things are happening and people are looking to make more money. And sometimes a part-time job, I mean, I know a few people doing like 2, 3, 4 part-time jobs, but why not try focusing on a part-time business so you can also benefit from like tax breaks and other things we'll get into. But anyway, Joe, sorry, I'm talking too much. Let's get back to the show. I want to bring you. Thank you for being my guest for my first guest for the rebranding of Hey Rockstar. Welcome, Coach. Any words you want to say?
Man, appreciate it. Thank you. 80th show. Wow. The big 80. That takes a lot of consistency, a lot of hard work behind the scenes that people don't see, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And so I want to congratulate you on your 80 shows. I've probably seen about 85% of those shows and about 95% I've at least looked into, like stayed a few minutes and watched, and I try to put my own 2 cents. Marky B, what's up, man? I want to say thanks to Marky B because, we're talking about side hustles. There was a time there that I wanted to get into the mowing business, and I hit up Marky B and picked his brain for a few things, and just happened to be that wasn't the avenue that the good Lord was taking me. But Hosa, congratulations on 80. I love what you did.
Appreciate it. I'll move my mic here a little bit. The funny thing about this is it all started actually with you in a podcast, and you said the goal is to have 7 episodes. If you can make it to 7, you got it made. And then after that, well, now 2 years, almost 3 years later, here we are on episode 80, and I plan to do way more, especially now that we're rebranding this. But let's get to you. We just showed this amazing footage straight off of Coach Sanchez's Instagram. You'll be able to see this is one that's got the most views simply because he said he got hit, and so part of the thumbnail has to do with the fact of this show. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about the business, the hustle that you have, Coach. If you don't mind, just please give us a quick description of your side hustle or business.
Well, it's straight up a side hustle. I'm a PE coach here in Midland, Texas. Love my job. Love being at Sam Houston. Before that, I was in the oil field. I was in the oil field being a pumper, for about 2.5 years. And before that, I was in education again. I was a teacher for about 13 years, second grade bilingual. I taught high school. I taught second grade bilingual, and then I coached high school baseball. I was a freshman coach for quite a few years, and then I was promoted to the assistant head coaching job there in Andrews. And as you start getting older, you start realizing, you start thinking about the future. When you're young, you're living in the now. And so I started thinking about the future and started thinking about, man, what are ways that I can make more money? And off the bat, you start, especially here in West Texas, you start thinking about, man, okay, let me jump to the oil fields. There's good money to be made out there, especially during the time when I did the jump. May have jumped in towards the end of it, but there's still good money out there. Jumped into it, really enjoyed it, learned a lot about myself, learned that you can really, if you just stick to it, you can really make good things happen for yourself. But I was out there and had no plans to leave. But my wife was at a campus, Sam Houston, and a PE job opened up. And we had been thinking about me going back into education to have the same schedule, to have the same schedule together. I was working 10-4, which means every other weekend I was working. And so if it was a birthday party happening and it was my week to work, I mean, I couldn't miss, I was covering for somebody else that weekend.
It's good money, bad price.
Yeah, exactly. And so this PE job opened up and I took it. I enjoy it. I love every day that I go to work. But while I was doing that, I was still thinking about the future. Retirement isn't one of the best things for teachers. So you're always trying to look for another means of income for the future, for now and for the future. And when I was making that switch back to education, that's when inflation kind of hit. And so I prices were going up on eggs, milk, groceries, everyday things that you need. And so I just started thinking about, man, what can I do to help our income here at home? My wife was baking cakes, on the side. She was baking cakes and she was, selling cakes and doing that on the side. We were both trying to think, where's a way we can help our household. And just one night I was just sleeping and just praying to the good Lord, like, Lord, show me. In fact, me and my brother, we started mowing yards. We mowed a few yards and our schedules just never really linked in. So it was hard to, all right, let's go mow the yard this week or this day. And so it just wasn't linking in. So it just wasn't running smoothly. I'm not saying it wasn't peaceful, but there was no peace behind it. And just one evening I was in bed and I just, Lord, what can I do? What can I do to help my family? And it just came to me, and it wasn't like I heard God's voice. It wasn't like, Joe, it wasn't anything like that. It was just an inner voice that just said to me, well, what do you know? What is it that you know? What is it that you understand? And, those who know me, baseball has been my life. I tell people, man, I was born with a baseball glove and a baseball in my hand. And so my uncle, Omar, big influence on me, taught me the game when I was young. My uncle Vito was one of my Little League coaches. My cousin David, he was one of my Babe Ruth coaches. So, I mean, it's just in the family, and it's just, I've grown up loving it. And it's just something that I knew. And being out of the game for a few years, I missed it. And so I just put just a Facebook ad, did a Nextdoor app ad. I put it out there. Before I started asking a few people, what would you pay to give your kid a baseball lessons, hitting lessons, fielding lessons. And I just started grabbing numbers. I would go online and seeing other people on Facebook what they were charging, and I just got to a price that I felt was reasonable for both parties, for me and the students or the parents, and threw it out there. And man, it just grew. It just grew.
Wow.
The Lord's really blessed me with it, and I've enjoyed every day that I've been out there doing these lessons.
I mean, one of the first gyms, of course, that I saw that you just said is you start off with, what do you know? What are you good at? What would you happily charge people for your experience in knowing your kind of situation? And no, that's just good to go. So well, the funny thing is, I broke this down. You know how we have the whole five for the five. The five are five key values that I focus on. Physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, and financially are areas that I tend to grow. However, I these shows I have 5 questions I want to ask you, and you already answered the first 2. The first one, of course, was please give us a quick description of your business or your side hustle. But the second was what led you to create your hustle, but you already answered that beautifully. Great keys, great value. So here's the next question I want to ask you, and this is going to be kind of where we're going to probably dig the most is what were some of the challenges that you first met when you first started?
Well, getting out of your comfort zone for one. You're a teacher, you work off a salary, you go on there. Most of them have year 1, this is what you're getting paid, year 2. So what was going to be fair? What was going to be fair that I felt was fair for them was fair for me. I'm not a business person. Although I come from a business family, I myself don't consider myself a business person. So those logistics or those parts of it, talking about what should I charge them, that transaction aspect of it isn't something that even to this day I'm still not comfortable with. I taught baseball. I started coaching when I was a junior in high school. Started coaching Little League baseball, and then my uncle had a travel ball team. Started helping him there. Coached a couple years at college, and then when I graduated and started teaching, got the phone call, started coaching at the high school. So there was never any transition, oh, here, we're paying you for your services kind of stuff. A lot of times I did it because I just enjoyed it and I loved it. And so stepping out of that comfort zone, saying, okay, this is what my time and this is what my knowledge has a price at, and telling them this is what it is. And, sometimes people don't hit you up. They may think that, no, it's too expensive,
Yeah.
Or some people think, well, $60 is not that much. Maybe he's not that good. It's just something I was not comfortable with. Another thing that was an extremely challenge for me was equipment and location. I don't have a place. I don't have a shop of my own. I'm currently working on it a little bit, but I don't have a place. I was highly blessed with being able to work there in Andrews, and Coach Morris, the head coach there. Man, he allows me to use the batting cages there. And so I'm able to go there and work at the batting cages there. And Steve Leverett, I currently give lessons to his son. He was my first lesson that I gave to. They have a shop with batting cages. And so when it's raining or bad weather, he offers his shop up to me, and I'm
That's
able
awesome.
to work in there whenever the weather's just not cooperating. And so big shout out to Steve and his family, the Leveretts, and of course Coach Morris for allowing me. Like I said, equipment, man. I had a glove. That's all I had, a glove and a fungo bat. And so a lot of I didn't have a batting tee, I didn't have baseballs, I didn't have softballs. And in fact, that's another thing. I mentioned softballs. When I started, I said, no, I'm sticking to baseball. I'm going to do baseball. I'm not going to deal with softball. I'm not going to go with that world. And maybe half my lessons each day is girls. I'm doing softball, it's the same thing. So getting out of that comfort zone. I've never really worked. I worked with my nieces. But I've never really worked with anybody else's girls, But probably what helped me was now that I'm in PE, I taught girls. It's a different world in the classroom. I had boys and girls. But once I started doing PE, I was able to be more open up. It opened me up to it. So that was a challenge. Right now, currently a challenge is that I currently live in Midland, but 97% of my students are in Andrews, which is about 45 minutes north of here. So scheduling, having to find a schedule, and I'm a teacher and I get out about 5 o'clock. So weekdays for me in Andrews pretty much are not logistically available right now. So it's weekends. So I go back to the deal where I'm missing out on my weekends, but I'm able to schedule. If we got a birthday party, I can pretty much say, well, I'm not going to do it this weekend, or, so that's one of the things that
That's
you have.
good. You're a master of your time.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. That's the dream for most business owners, or at least part time business owners or entrepreneurs, is they want to get out of the 9 to 5. Not so much because they want to get out of the 9 to 5. They're just tired of having to answer someone else. They want to have that creative. Of course, this is again we're hitting part time hustles, part time business people who want to learn these things because they want to. The first goal is to make financial ends meet. You know what? I need to start writing things down because you said something that was goal. I'm going to go back there and probably take notes and elaborate more on that. But let's just move on. Now, appreciate the gems. So now, you've been at this for a little over a year, or just under a year?
Man, I've been at it. Once October gets here, it'll be 2 years.
Okay, cool. So let's look back at this last year worth, or maybe last 12 months, or if you want to do 6 months worth. Here's what I want to ask you is, what have been some big lessons or some just valuable takeaways from your experience in this past year, or maybe in 2 years of business?
Well, I'm going to start off with the biggest one. And obviously, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is the biggest one, because without him, none of this would be totally possible. But my biggest one, just like in personal, is my wife. Like, she has been so supportive. Like, obviously, there's things around the house. I have to set my schedule. Okay, I got to mow the yard this day because tomorrow I'm gonna be gone, or whatever it is. But she, if I needed baseballs, go ahead. I'm talking about even now. I bought baseballs, but they run out, and baseballs are not cheap. And my wife's like, no, go get those baseballs. You need that. Go get that bat, or go get that training tool. In fact, she's like, we need to start thinking about the future. We need to start thinking about where we're going to get a shop, how we're going to do this, things like that. And so she helps me understand that I'm not alone on this journey. Even though I'm the one going out there, even though I'm the one doing the reels, or I'm doing the social media stuff or whatever, a lot of times some of the quotes aren't even my quotes, to be honest with you. Some of the times the quotes come from my wife. She's just a genius with that. But outside of that, the lessons that I've learned is there's always something that you can learn. I'm the instructor here. when it comes to the lessons that I'm giving. But I am constantly learning from my students. I am constantly learning. Like, I can see when they're understanding what I'm telling them. Part of it helps me because I'm a teacher, but I can see in their faces when they don't understand when I'm talking about specific terminology, and just the relationships that you build with them. I taught second grade, and so I kind of understand the younger grade 7, 8-year-olds, and how to speak to them and understand when they don't understand things. But I've learned that talking to a 7-year-old is almost like talking to a 17-year-old. And some of the terminologies that the 17-year-olds use with me, I'll be like, oh, okay. And I turn around the next lesson. I have a 17-year-old, and I turn around and I use whatever term they used with me with a 7-year-old, and it clicked a lot better than what this 42-year-old uses. So I'm able to transfer their knowledge or their terminology from student to student, even though the ages are a decade apart.
That's pretty cool. So you basically learn how to translate.
Yeah, it's communication, man. Yeah. It's communication. So I'll give you a little thing that I kind of try to teach the little ones. In hitting, we want to focus on not shifting our weight forward for a lot of reasons. I don't want to get too technical on that kind of conversation. But what I've noticed, a lot of coaches, they'll tell their little ones, squish the bug. And what they're saying is they want their back foot to turn like they're squishing a bug, because they want them rotating. They don't want their weight. But what happens is those kids put all the emphasis on that foot, that they're turning their foot, but their hips, they're not really using their hips. So if a person were to stand up and like turn their foot like they're squishing a bug, you can do it, but you're not really using power. So I have to be able to explain to them, we're not squishing a bug. We're exploding our hips. Or as and that's the backside of it, So I cannot remember who it was, but a kid, it was a 16-year old who told me. So it's kind of like whenever you roll up a rubber band and you let it go, it kind of explodes like a tornado. And so I did that with a 7-year-old, and like it clicked so much easier
Oh
than just,
wow. Okay.
And so little things like that. It's communication, man. It's knowing their lingo. A lot of times it's, I'm old. I may not be grandpa, but my stepdaughter Emma doesn't think I'm cool. You know, I don't know when that happened, when these, my sixth graders in PE class, they don't think Coach Sanchez is cool, like he's just an old guy. So I don't know when that happened, that I went from being cool to now being the old guy, but it's happened. And so I dig their brain, and I let them know that I care about them. It's not always about baseball. Hey, how's school going? Hey, your high school, how's it going with your parents? Like, how did that trip go? Hey, happy birthday. Remembering that it's their birthday. Like, it's all about relationships and communication. If and I really, I don't just say this because we're here, but I genuinely care about my students.
No,
Like,
that's good.
I don't want to just do this for a transaction, but one of the reasons that really drove me to this is when I was coaching high school baseball, man, we were getting some kids that were really talented athletically, but just didn't understand the game, whether it was mechanically or just the game, the routine things, the way it's supposed to be run, where the ball's supposed to go, when are you supposed to run, when are you supposed to do this, the situations part of it. And so when I got into it, I made it a real effort to teach these kids things that they already needed to know before they got to the high school level. And for those high school kids, to try to get them to the college level if that's what their plans are.
Yeah.
So it's not so much about the transaction that I'm making with the parents financially, but investing into the community that I dearly love, which is Andrews, and really Mustang and Lady Mustang baseball and softball.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what we grew up with. I mean, I grew up playing football. You grew up playing baseball in little Andrews, America, which is a beautiful little place. But there's a gym in the middle of the desert in the middle of the Permian Basin. And sports, like most people don't believe me that I guess when people always ask me where I'm from, the first question I ask, have you seen Friday Night Lights? And when they're like, yeah, like there, I'm from there. That was my lifestyle. That was my religion growing up as a kid. Of course, now because of social media, I don't really see it as much anymore. Like Friday Night Lights is not really what everyone does, unless just like it's a place to go hang out with your friends. Yes, but it's in Andrews Friday night, everyone was at our football stadium, and then of course once baseball season, especially the year that you were seniors. Or we were seniors. That was the year that we won state. You guys won state, and of course, even those who weren't into baseball, they jumped the bandwagon. They wanted to be there to support our local team because it's all about just the small town pride and such. And sports is a good way. I remember, this is totally off subject, but I remember this one girl from Mexico came to visit. She was friends of the family, and I was showing her around our little town, Andrews. And I looked at her, and just being coy, I was like, hey, or just being cute, I was like, hey, you want to see the biggest church we have here in Andrews? She goes, yeah. And then I was driving by my dad's church, like, that's not it. And I drove by, I think, the First Assembly or one of the big churches, and like, she goes, that it? Like, nope. And then I drove, and we went to the high school football stadium, and I go, that's the biggest church we have here in Andrews, because that's the biggest religion we have here, because people take it seriously here. But anyway, no, I love that. And actually, you didn't really tell much about your business as far as what it is. We can circle back to that, the logo, the name, and all that stuff, because it does give homage to our upbringing. But let's move on with the fifth question that I have for you, and that is, speaking now as as an entrepreneur, or just as a person. I love what you're saying about how it's beyond baseball. You care for them beyond just the sport, but you're using this as a way to prepare them for life. It's using this to prepare them for life choices to move forward, because you never know what's going to happen. You get hurt, and that could be the end of your career. But it's, if you know skills and a lot of things, the lessons, those can be applied in other areas of your life. Matter of fact, before I ask the last question, you reminded me of a book that I just ordered. Actually, I got the Audible. Are you familiar with the fitness person, business person, Alex Hormozy?
Oh, it sounds familiar.
You might have seen some of his clips pop up on Instagram, especially if you're following a lot of the same stuff that I'm following, especially business minded. But he built an empire. Him and his wife built businesses and have been successful. Just investors, business people. But his main one started off as a fitness coach or a fitness center. He started fitness businesses, and then of course even during the pandemic, he still kept on succeeding. But he wrote a book that's based on how everything you need to know to start and run your own fitness business. And I mean, I never really took onto that because I'm like, why do I want to read this? Because I don't want to start my own fitness business. I'm starting a totally different kind of hustle. But he was being interviewed by someone who says, who told him, I read your book. Someone who's in the counseling and coaching business, and he goes, I read your book. And he goes, this, besides the certain jargon, it's actually a play by play for anyone who wants to start a consulting or in just any kind of business with a product. And he goes, exactly. He's going to rebrand his book and launch it off as that. He goes, he happened to use what he knew and what he was comfortable or as known as, but the skills, the lessons in there are applicable for anyone wanting to start the business. So I'll get the title for people later, but Alex Hormozy. But I was gonna send that to you if you ever wanted to get that for your Audible, because it reminded me right now what you're talking about. You use the platform of baseball and coaching, but you there's so much more to what you're doing because of the love that you have for what you're doing for these students, for these kids, and I applaud that. So on that note, let's speak about the future now. I want great things to happen for you and for Golden Coats Baseball Academy. I want great things to happen. So speaking on that, moving forward, what are just some goals or visions that you have for your hustle / business?
Well, first of all,
I love
oh,
saying business.
no, you're good. I'd love for it to become a business. I really would.
You
But
already have your first business partner,
man,
your wife.
I want a facility, man. I want a
Mm.
shop. I want somewhere that I can, and I have a place. It just needs some work. My grandma's allowed me to use one of her shops that she has, and so this is just a blessing. But it needs to be cleaned out. It needs to be fixed up so it could serve the purpose of what I want to use it for. And so that's just a slow process right now. But definitely my goal is to have that facility. That's number one. Number two is I go back to number one. So currently I'm doing one-on-one lessons. I do small group lessons and I do team lessons. I would definitely want to be able to grow where we have a weight room. We have a facility for kids for arm care, for kids to get
Mm.
stronger, have a program for them. Want to grow that. And if it's possible, branch out to outside of Andrews.
Mm.
I currently have 2 students from Seminole. I have 5 students here in Midland, and so would really love to venture to small towns. Here in Midland, which is not a big city, but there's 2, 3 big places that kids can go and get lessons in a facility. Odessa has DBAT that's between Midland and Odessa. Major cities have these. Lubbock has I don't know how many facilities, but small towns tend not to have facilities and like good coaching
Yeah.
to help them reach their goals. Every kid has different goals. Some kids are just wanting to learn the game. Some kids are wanting to understand the game deeper and go, from a 8th grade to want to start varsity by their sophomore year or their freshman year. Some want to be ready preparing for college. So, those kids deserve those rights, just like big city kids. And so, we grew up. There wasn't much to do there, but this Andrews is growing. There's a few more things there, not much more things, but like you said, sports related, and there's a lot of kids there with a lot of talent. They just, they have to drive somewhere to go get the proper instruction. And I'm not saying I'm like the guru of baseball, but going back to the goals in the future, I've been taking these classes to help me specifically for hitting and weight training and stuff. So I will get certified in those things. So I want to be more, continue learning, because the game is continue changing, and you don't know it all.
Yeah.
Like, you can't pretend that you know it all, even though you've been in baseball for so long. There's just so much more. The game was taught different from when I was a kid to when it's now. So you got to adapt. There's a great line: adapt or die.
Mm.
I want to say it was in Moneyball, baseball movie. You adapt or you die, and so that's part of the process. So that's part of the learning. That's part of the future. Keep learning. Part of it's, like I said, knowing the kids, right? So the facility. I go to the Golden Coats. I'll touch on that right now. So when we were kids, middle school wasn't the Mustangs like they are now.
Yeah.
You were the Colts. You're a younger Mustang. You're a toddler Mustang, right?
You're a
And
little
so
Mustang.
I'll never forget playing football. We go to Kermit, and they take me to the back. I cannot remember the name of the restaurant, but anybody who's played football in Andrews during our generation, they took you to Kermit to the big old hamburgers, and
I remember that and K-Bobs. We
yeah,
always hit K-Bobs.
and Coach took me to the back to the kitchen, man, and it was a big old piece of patty. I got to get right here so people can see it. I mean, it was literally bigger than my chest, And he comes up to me and goes, Sanchez, because you used to wear your helmet last name, and that's how they knew you. Sanchez, you want to be a Mustang, you got to be able to eat one of those, right? And so there was this mindset of like you weren't a Mustang just because you were in middle school playing football. Like you had to earn it, you had to work it.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I work with Mustangs. I work with high schoolers who are Mustangs already who've earned that. But a lot of my students are younger, and I want to bring back the cult. I want to bring back the cult that we got to earn it. It's not just because you're just from Andrews doesn't make you a Mustang. You got to put the work in. You got to put the time in. You got to have the patience. You got to trust the process, and you got to go get that Mustang, and you got to be able to believe that gold, And so
Black and gold,
golden coats, And again in the future, if I'm able to grow it, I love to have some travel ball teams, and I don't even want it to be, not even into the aspect of the travel ball, but I want it to be where it's more. We're learning more. We're practicing more than we're actually playing. We're actually getting more skills. Nowadays travel ball and even in softball, I mean, it's just tournament after tournament after tournament.
Yeah.
And they're playing anywhere from 4 to 8 games on a weekend, and they have 2 days of practice during the week. You're not really gaining much. I tell my kids, I said, the games are your test. The games are your test. The practices are the days in the classroom that you're learning. You do 4 days of learning for one test. We have things backwards now in today's society where we're doing 4 to 8 tests and we've only got 2 days of preparation for it. The learning is done in the practice field. And, if I were to ever get to the point to where I have my own travel ball association team or organization, we're going to be spending a lot of time practicing and playing very few games, because it's all about the fundamentals and getting things right early on in the early stages of their baseball career. And I would say early on is all the way up to freshman year in high school.
That's taking it back to the basics. That's important in anything that you decide to do, especially if you in every corporation, every niche that you decide to follow in, everything has its own systems in place. Now, sometimes if you are a trailblazer and you are starting something that no one's done before, you're gonna have to learn a lot of things, but eventually you'll develop a system that can be duplicated, and that's how you can continue to run. But no, this has been good, actually. I love the stuff. I have to go back and listen to it and cut out clips and such to share the gold nuggets that you've helped us. Now, for those of people who are trying to figure out where this is from, Andrews is in West Texas, located next to Midland, Odessa, about 40 to 30 minutes away, depending which way you're going. All the small towns you're talking about are around that area. It's where we grew up. It's where we used to call. We have family still there, parents and such siblings there. So it'll always hold a place for us, no matter how far we've gone, wherever we've traveled. The funny thing is, whenever I used to come home, and we have a cousin who somehow always gets his hands on T-shirts, and he used to go to the football games and shoot them through a potato gun. But he'd always get me. My brother would always get a shirt from me, and he'll send it to me, and I would wear it, because it would say Mustang Pride or made by Mustang or something. It said something with our school mascot, and I would wear it in Nashville, and people looked at me and they assumed, first of all, I was like a Mustang, like maybe SMU kind of Mustang, or I forgot what other school, or that I drove a Mustang. Like, no, at that time I drove an Audi. No, but I was like, no, it's the high school. It's the high school that I grew up with and such. Although technically I was a Cougar for about a year, but still to this day everyone swears that I graduated Mustang, so I'm a Mustang. I'm an Andrews Mustang.
You were definitely a Colt, and you earned your black and gold for those Mustang days. Those Colt days. So you definitely earned it.
That took me back right there. But no, for anyone in West Texas who might be interested in in doing business and for the youngins and would like to acquire your services besides your Instagram handle, Coach Sanchez 9, is there any of the best other ways to get in contact with you, or are you not taking new clients yet?
Well, no, I'm always taking in. We'll try to find a way to schedule it in. Currently here in Midland, I'm doing, when it's school year, I do it after work hours here in Midland because I'm here. I can just, you can schedule it that way. But they can definitely contact me on Coach Sanchez 9 on Instagram, just Coach Sanchez on Facebook. Heck, I'm not scared to give out my number, 432-661-7280. Just text me. I'll respond pretty quickly. If I don't respond, I'm probably doing lessons. I mean, tomorrow I'll be going from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow, working straight through. I had lessons yesterday. I got a lesson after this actually here in Midland. As soon as I'm done here, I'll be doing a lesson. I'm actually going to take 3 days off. I don't take too many days off. Hey, Danny, what's up, man? And love that guy. I love that guy. I don't talk to him enough, but I love that guy. I'm just going to say this subject real quick, but
we got time.
On my Facebook, on those memories here this past month, a lot of those Mexico City and Querétaro videos have been popping up on memories, and I've been showing my wife because we weren't dating or anything during that time, and definitely been showing her, especially when Danny picked me up in Mexico City from the airport. Remember, he picked us up, so I was showing her that video where I was just talking about Alfonso instead of Alonso. I would call him Alfonso, And so, but yeah, Danny, I haven't seen him in about 10 years plus, but man, I love that guy. I love his wife, Liz.
I know that this week they were at youth camp. His church took a big group of youth, and I was reminiscing because I remember whenever I took those kids to youth camp, there was only like 10 of us, maybe in total. No, 7 of us in total. And now Danny took like 100 students. I saw like a bus full of students. Like, man, he's a beast.
Not just that. And I know this isn't about me, but Danny, I got to go see you work your bread magic, man. I love that. Man, Danny is the greatest. The most humble, the most amazing man you'll ever meet. But I got to catch up. With him.
I actually have a trip to Dallas. Oh, no, not Dallas. It's to San Antonio coming up. So, but I'll reach out to you, Dan the man. And saludos a tu familia.
What was I talking about?
Reminiscing on
Well, I was talking about lessons. How I got a lesson to, but I'm actually gonna give myself Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and then I'll hit it hard again on Monday. But I got a couple of lessons of kids from Seminole. Apparently there's a few more that want to listen. So I'm willing to drive over there and do a full day's lessons worth over there. So hit me up if you got Odessa. It's nearby. If you can, if I can find 3-4 lessons, I'll drive over there and get those 3-4 knocked down. But definitely, Andrews is where my heart is at. But I just want to teach the kids the game of baseball and teach it right the way it was taught to me, the way I learned from the great coach Joe Ray Hawsey, the way I learned from
Coach Hawsey,
the legend.
I still remember
Rodney Gardner.
Potential.
Learned to coach Rodney Gardner. So I've learned from 2 Texas high school coaches, Hall of Famers. Coach Hawsey was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I want to say 2010, 2009, 2011, right around there. He was inducted to the High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame. So I played for him, and then I coached under Rodney Gardner, who was inducted about 3 years ago into the Hall of Fame. So between those two, they have over 1,300 victories. And so I was very blessed to have very knowledgeable men of the game. And I learned from them. So I was a coach to continue learning. So
that's another thing, especially if you want to start a hustle, you want to start a business. Someone said, find someone who has done it or is where you want to be and learn from them. If you can spend time, if you can be mentored by them.
That's key. So it's not a mentor of mine, but when I first started, and like I said, my goal is to have that facility. I contacted a guy in Ropesville, right outside of Lubbock, who has a shop just like I want. He has a team. He doesn't do private lessons, but he has a team. And I hit him up on Facebook, on Instagram, and he invited me to one of his sessions, man. And I drove over there to Ropesville, and talked to him, picked his brain, and watched how he handled practices. And every now and then we'll comment on each other's stuff on Instagram. But like, you'd be surprised how many people will say yes to you. I mean, that's one thing that I've really learned. You'd be surprised how many people, if you ask, you're going to get some no's, but you're definitely going to get some yeses. And, I hit him up. My wife, it was during Christmas time. My wife went to Lubbock with me. She went to the mall, got some Christmas gifts. I stayed there and watched and learned. He brought in a guy from Lubbock who's originally from Houston, who was doing a running camp. So he was showing kids the proper mechanics of running. That's to the detail that they were getting at.
Wow.
Kids, we don't really get to the details of, hand and arm posture, chest posture, knee drives, and things like that, which is really, really crucial. And those are the things that I really want to get into. I want to be able to bring people in who are experts at these things, so we can help these kids in these communities, so they can achieve their goals.
See, that's part of your vision right there. That's part of your goals that you said. That's brilliant. And the beauty, coach, is because you have vision, man, great things are going to come. Great things are happening. You have something to thrive for, to work for, to fight for. And so that's all you really need. That's the motivation that you need. I don't know why I keep looking at my webcam when my camera's right here. That's the motivation you need. Quick shout out to one of my mentors in the financial service spaces is the legend Jacob Bruce. He's another business entrepreneur. He owns two that I know of. A coaching business. He's a fitness coach and also financial services. So, and also he was a guest on my episode, I want to say 76. If you guys want to go check out his story, it's good stuff. And again, just giving highlight to Danny again, who says, "Come visit us, guys."
I need to.
You already know, Joe. You've been to Dallas more than me.
I need to. I'm always, in fact, it didn't happen. I was talking about asking people, looking for advice, looking for ways to learn. There's a guy in Dallas. I don't know if he's still there, but his name was Coach Pedro Esteves. I had hit him up, and I was going to go watch him do lessons for an entire day. Ran into some car issues here at home. Wasn't able to make it. I had to cancel that. But just go out and ask people. Call me up, hit me up. It doesn't even have to be for lessons. Hey, what do you pick my brain about this? This situation, whatever it is. I just want to help kids, help coaches. Be able to reach their full potential. Something you said earlier, Josa, about the vision and stuff. I talk to my kids, man. You can have that vision, and you can have those dreams, and you can have those goals, but you cannot wish them to happen. You can't wish them to happen. You got to put the time. You got to put the effort. You got to work, and it may not happen as fast as you want it to be. You may fail. We may have to go back to the drawing board. But if we get our brains and we set that goal and we set that dream and we stay focused on that and forget about the people, there are always going to be people talking, oh, you're not going to be able, you don't have the talent, you don't have the skill, you're not fast enough, you're not strong enough. Block them out and focus on that and get to work. Not wishing, not sitting at home, watching Instagram videos or TikTok videos. And, oh, man, that's going to be me. No, you got to be out there, man. I got 9-year-old girls, who are out there with me at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon in this 107-degree heat for an hour working on hitting, working on fielding. That's not easy. That's something that drives me too. I could be like, man, it's too hot. I don't want to be out here. But you know what? If a 7-year-old girl, if a 9-year-old boy wants to get better, man, that drives me. That makes me want to be there to help them, Like, don't tell me they don't love the game. Don't tell me they don't want to work. And it's not mom and dad. Let me tell you something I do know. I can tell you which kids want to be there and which kids' parents want them to be there. I can see it. You can tell. Okay? And that kid who's there at 2 in the afternoon working hard, they want to be there.
Yeah.
The kid that I have a kid named Dom. He's there at 7 in the morning. Like, he's a third grader waking up at 7 in the morning to go practice hitting. Most kids that age are asleep.
Most adults that age are asleep on the Saturday.
And he wants to be there. He's putting the time. He's putting the effort. Am I saying that these kids are going to be major leaguers? They're going to make dreams. They're going to go college? I'm not saying that. But what that's saying is that when they grow up and they have those situations in life, they're not going to back down.
Yeah.
And that's something that sports teaches you. That's something that gets developed, And that's the beauty of sports. It's an analogy to life. And you can see their character. You can see it. You can see their work ethic, And if they're able to get up, 7 o'clock in Andrews for me means I have to get up about 5 because I got to leave here from 6. To be there for 7 o'clock morning lesson. There's times where I've been there from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening in Andrews. But those kids want to be there. And if they want to be there and they work it, I got goals just like that guy goes, and they drive me, man. I learn from them. You talk about lessons that I've learned. I learn from them. I learn about the passion, with real passion and real love is for the game and wanting to get better. And so, yeah, I mean,
That's beautiful, man. That's a great way to end this show. This is episode 80 of Hey Rockstar. I already forgot what I entitled it. I just said featuring Coach Sanchez of Golden Colts Baseball Academy.
Hopefully that becomes a business, man. I have that out there because I'm speaking it. I want to give a quick shout out. You see this golden coat right here? And the golden coat. I got a little red in there, little secret. Back in the day, Andrews High School's original colors were black and red. Back in the day, they were black and red. So I just homage. There you go, sweet hat. So homage to them, homage to those days is I got a little red sneaking in there. So it's a little red, black, and gold.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So just a little homage. It's not that color, just a little history. But golden coats, man. This outfit right here was my brother, man. He's starting a business himself.
We can bring him on the show once he figures out.
Man, if you want shirts, you want banners, you want posters, you want invitations, man, I'm like his biggest fan. I just want to reach out to everybody out there that's listening. If you got anything that you need printed on, hit him up. This is an older one already. I just wanted to pull it out. But this hat, Jose's got the hat there that he got there. But
with the
great designer, great work. He does a lot of good works.
My favorite thing's little Lone Star tag he puts there, flag.
Yeah, right here. Wrong way. Yeah.
You can take the boys out of Texas, but you never take the Texas out of the boys.
Right. So
that's what I say.
So Sanchez screenshot, man. I'm always gonna give him a shout out every time. Trying to help him.
Any last words? Any last thoughts you want to throw in before we call it a day? 'Cause I know you got some coaching sessions coming up right now because you are in this hustle, man. And
I'm working, dude. I joke about it. Chachi used to say this. My friend, my cousin Chachi used to say this. I'm breathing, I'm working. I'm actually living that right now, man. If I'm breathing, I'm working. I do a lot of reels on Instagram. That's not even for me, man. I do that for the kids. Those kids, they see that and they think it's cool. It encourages them. Like, oh man, I want to get on there. I show them. Sometimes the parents don't have it, so I show them. Like, look at this reel right here. Look at that sweet swing that you just had, or look at that field. But most of the recording I use is for me. Is to study their swing and to see what they're doing. It's how I can help them. But last thing I want to say, man, is like for reals, whatever it is that you have dreams, you may have a job, an 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever, 7 to 3. You may have a job, and it's fun and you love it. I hope you do. But man, follow your dreams and go for it, man. Like this dream didn't come to me. It wasn't a dream of mine to have this when I first started in baseball. Just kind of happened to find a way to not make ends meet, but to have a little extra and to build for the future. And all of a sudden, man, it looks like it could promise into something big, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen unless you get dirty, unless you get to work, unless you have that drive, your why. Why are you doing this for? And my why is just right down the hallway, my wife,
business partner.
Yeah, my business partner, man. Talking about dreams, if I get that little facility and we really get going, man, she could do aerobic training and things like that, things like that, workout training. But it's not gonna. You cannot dream. You cannot wish your dreams to come true. You cannot wish your dreams to come true. You gotta get dirty. You gotta go out. You gotta sweat. You gotta bleed. You gotta cry. You gotta make mistakes, mistake after mistake after mistake, until you learn and you get it. That's what sports is about. You're constantly making mistakes at practice. That's why practice is important. Mistake after mistake until you finally clicks, and you practice so much that you no longer make those mistakes. You do it so much to where you don't mess up anymore. And so man.
Oh my gosh, you just dropped some great gold there. I mean, at the beginning, the quote, I didn't even know you were going to talk about that, but the quote that I showed at the beginning was something that I took from Robert Kiyosaki. I just added more to it about, if you're not seeing progress, it's because you're not failing fast enough. You got to get those failures under your belt to start seeing the wins, to learn the lessons. And so then I added, of course, just like spring follows winter, your failures or success will follow failures. Just keep going, keep going.
Well, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
for this. I'm about to close this out. I'm just going to let everyone know. Let us know what you think about the rebranding. The reason why we're doing this is I want to provide value. My focus is to work on people who want to do a dual vocation. Maybe you love what you're doing, or maybe you're in the nonprofit or sector, but you want to make a little extra income instead of looking for a part-time job. Why not start a part-time hustle or a part-time business? And the key is to bring people who know who start their own things, to bring value. Because I just want you, first of all, just to be entertained, be encouraged, and be empowered to go off and be the rock star of your business and industry. So until next time, everyone, all the way from Andrews, America, and Midland, Texas, this is Josafat Emiliano. That was Coach Sanchez, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Until next time, much love and many blessings.